In the build-up to the show's existence, I penned pages on some box office big hitters, so I'd be bummed just trash-canning my theatrical trashings. Fortunately, a lot of them are still on circuit, so maybe I can help the cinema uncertain among us make up their minds. I bet you're all wondering, hey, what does this guy I know for cumulatively approximately 40 minutes think about, say, Tad the Lost Explorer and The Curse of the Mummy, a movie? Well, it wouldn't be the film criticism-ian part of the show if I told ya, because I've not seen Tad the Lost Explorer and The Curse of the Mummy. Instead, we're about to dig into The Woman King. I will, however, say this about Tad the Lost Explorer and The Curse of the Mummy. Your movie is for children, you fucking psychos. Why the hell is your title a novella? You realize kids are just gonna hiss through a sugar high, I wanna see Tad, Dad. Rumor has it, you can watch a child age saying the name in full. Silliness aside, I'll say for a small animation studio, it looks half decent for your halflings. Take a toddler to see Tad. I don't know, I've not seen it, but it looks alright. And now, on to the bona fide film criticism-ian. The Woman King. A movie that magically attracted thousands of one-star reviews on IMDb before release. And I wonder why that is. Not so supremacy. Okay, I don't have any good puns about it, but it's likely just petty white supremacy. A virtually all-black cast in a story that center stages African power dynamics in the overarching context of the European transatlantic slave trade. Yup, that'd do it in this dirt stupid world. But, of course, we're not triggered enough to knee-jerk swing the other way just because. On this 10-point scale, I'm not just gonna give it a 10 because... So, I have a single bone to pick with the king today, but it's like a whole-ass femur. There were very real early concerns about the possible glamorization of a real-life state, the Dahomey, with a more complicated history than just, yes, queen! And that complication is pretty tightly summarized in maybe one line of the blurb before the show gets on the road, only sorta alluding to this vicious circle between tribes in a race to the bottom, officiated by a delusional master race holding the starter gun. And literally holding all the guns. Going between the likes of Dahomey and neighbors/adversaries the Oyo, offering firearms in exchange for enslaved people. Or, take the other deal. Face colonizer-enabled gunpoint enslavement by your neighbor who didn't politely decline their trade. That quick and early allusion to this master eats dog dynamic, bit of a pyramid scheme. It's a bit like when you're in primary school and you do your history project a bit last minute. When you open your presentation to the classroom with, Hitler was bad because he was not good. And then, now you're 20 pictures of cool panzer tanks set to the Tony Hawk soundtrack. Don't these completely rip ass? I mean, of course, no one expects a movie to perfectly condense its historical context into 2 hours. But The Woman King takes a bit of a stab and a miss at this important undertold story. Opting more for flash, which sure is a part of watching movies, than frustrating preconceived narratives. Pressured more toward a diluted marketable African pride, taking the tack of we used to be kings, without the T's and C's about monarchies manufacturing their own people for their purse at the service of colonialist meddling and treachery. A semi-superficial sister power payoff, nervously shoving its fingers in its ears going la 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 la, I can't hear you, to the overall framework of Western imperialist mechanics, which is harder to write about, but way overdue. And all that deepening could have been especially interesting as present-day powers that be tried to fire up the Cold War all over again. And let me tell you what, that shit was not in fact cold in Africa. Look, to be clear, these watered-down, warm and fuzzy aspects, generally they're harmless and probably welcome. I mean, who doesn't like seeing historically under and or misrepresented people begin to exist after a century of cinema? Okay, maybe not the D.W. Griffith fandom, aka the KKK pop stands. But The Woman King's the first Hollywood movie about pre-colonial Africa. You have to do the homework. It rightly took a heap of dead serious Holocaust movies trying to do justice to a great injustice, telling that story, portraying it correctly, before we got to speculative romps like Inglourious Basterds, which still manages to take brave positions. And here we are in the afterglow of Black Panther doing this. People go politically deep on damn elves and orcs. You can do this. Every week we tango with complexity, necessity, pragmatism, and grey areas in Dragon's Show. Believe in your audience, writers. Wait, those are the writers of The Woman King. God damn. Aside from stuff like The Rings of Power and House of the Dragon, I fell in love with this rich story of tough decisions for better or worse, made by people who are neither purely morally black or purely morally white in Black Sails. Go give that show some love. It was really good and maybe flew too much under the radar. Another good example, because I rewatched it recently, twice last week, is Sicario. Individuals of all stripes trapped in a system that's warping them, only to perpetuate its exploitative brutality. I would have loved this for you, Woman King, to be a movie like, right, let's air these sheets. It might not seem like it, but for all that, I actually did enjoy it. All of these points are really mostly how it could be improved, and not how it's a complete train wreck. Viola Davis needs no leg up from little old me. She is spectacular. Most of the kick in King's most kick-ass scenes, aside from the acting chops, give her her own show, where she plays a pirate, an elf, a drug lord, and a dragon all at once. John Boyega knocks it out the damn park. Dude is a natural. Hopefully ends up being one of our greats. And through it all, comparatively little known Thuso Mbedu holds her own among giants. But I think the jewel in the crown is Lashana Lynch, who exquisitely pitched, hurt but humorous, and she steals the show. Rest assured, The Woman King's worth your royal tribute and a semi-historic 7 out of 10. Now let's dial back the cortisol and chat up the delightful Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris with supporting actors Lucas Bravo, Emily in Paris, Parisian, and Ellen Thomas, an EastEnder from EastEnders.